All right. Once again, good day, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on PDC Windchill Options and Variants. My name is Ephraim Boyeng, and we will get underway here. All right, so this is the agenda for today. I am going to do a quick introduction of myself and PDSVISION, go through the concept of digital thread in product development, and then go ahead and set up a process for options and variants and show you exactly how that's done in Windchill environment. And right at the end of the session, we will then have a Q&A session. So during the time of the webinar, feel free to start typing in your questions in the webinar's questions section, and we will attend to those questions at the end of the webinar. Please note that all attendees are in listen-only mode for the duration of the webinar. Okay, my name is Ephraim Boyeng. I am a PLM specialist at Boundary Systems with over 7 years experience on PDC products, specifically Windchill products. I'm a certified Windchill implementer and trainer. A little bit about us being PDSVISION. We are formerly known as Boundary Systems and was acquired by PDSVISION in 2018. So we currently rebrand into PDSVISION US. So we regard ourselves as the technology leader, and we offer capabilities in consulting, implementation of services, professional training, cloud, and help desk. And then just a timeline on when Boundary was formed. Boundary was formed or founded in 2006. And then PDSVISION was founded in 2008, or between 2007 and 2008, and acquired Boundary Systems in 2018. We've got a couple of companies or branches all over the world. So if you look at the map to the right, you would see where all our companies are based. I'm actually based in South Africa, at the bottom here, and that is where I am currently based. Okay, so PDC is our main partner in all of this, but we also partner with other solution companies to basically make sure that we deliver a solution that best meets our customer needs. So on the list here is all the companies that we also partner with. Right, so then on the concept of digital thread, so digital thread is defined as the use of digital tools, so things like Windchill and so on, and representations for design, evaluation, and lifecycle management. So the idea for this is it has to be able to create a traceability and governance of your product data across all the enterprise. So all the entities in the company or any enterprise that are involved in any way in the product development are basically part of that digital thread. So if you look at the digital thread that we have got on here, we've got a couple of ranks here. So from 1 to 4. So 1 being where you would actually start. So this is the product development management, where you normally start, manage your CAD, manage things like documents, and then obviously at the beginning of every product development, you have the requirements. So being able to also manage that requirements, that is where it basically starts. And then as you expand in your PLM sort of system, then it goes out to basically being able to manage your changes in the system, and also include things like your project management. So the one that we will be looking at, it falls under the design configurator that we'll get into in a bit. So the idea again of that second ring is to make sure that the impact of the change is captured properly, and everyone that's been affected by that change has got visibility to the details of that change. And the first in the ring here is where you now start integrating your PLM tool with other systems like ERP integrations, and also being able to manage your suppliers, being able to know which suppliers do we buy from, and what sort of objects or products we would go and buy at this verified suppliers. And then the outer loop is basically, now that our product is out in the field, how do we monitor the behavior of that product, and obviously take the feedback from the product out in the field, bring it in, capture that information, and going forward, being able to develop a better product that meets all those standards. Right. So furthermore, on the digital thread concept, it's basically on the life cycle of your product, being able to tie together where that information starts, and basically the manufacturing of the actual product, how to capture information, and then the as maintained configuration of that product once it's out in the field, how do we, or information that support the servicing of it, as well as the operation of it. So digital thread is being able to link all those stages of the product lifecycle together in this one source of truth. And then, yeah, obviously being able to capture that information until your product is being retired. All right, so back at the topic of today, so it is Windchill Options and Variants. So just to explain it in a very simple way, is options and variants simply allows you to configure your own product based on the data that already existing in the system or for that product, and simply build a configuration that meets the customer requirements or meets a specific customer requirements. So out of the box with every Windchill implementation, the options and variants are not turned on, so you won't be able to use them up until you set a preference in Windchill to enable this. So it's just a preference that you basically set to yes, and to allow you to have configurable modules in Windchill. And if you need to be able to create things like conditional rules, so we'll get to the rules and when we start doing the demonstration, there is a component that you need to install as part of your Windchill installation. But if you miss that as part of the installation, this can still be installed later on as an additional part to that. And whoever that would be creating these options and variants would then be able needed to have a license for platform structure to be able to do that. And then on the Windchill page, we'll obviously get to the details of this, but on the how you would manage the options in Windchill is actually managed from the Windchill product context details page. So once this is enabled, you'll be able to see a tab for option pools, which are basically the options that you'd have for a product to be configured. And then what they're basically saying here is you will be missing the assign option sets as well as the option sets table in there, but it is fairly easy to basically add those two tables on there. And then the other thing that you also mentioned there is to make sure that your CAD information, as it checks in, it actually generates the viewables or those thumbnail images that would make things very easy for you to graphically see what you've configured. And then, so the option and variant supports all these manufacturing strategies. And the one that we would be focusing on today is being able to configure your product to order. So the customer comes in and then laid out the requirements, and you basically go into Windchill's options and variants and configure the product variation based on that information. But it also supports things like assemble to order or build to order. And this is normally something that would be used in the passenger vehicles industry, or where they basically build the large heavy equipment, or things like your computer equipment. Those computer components already exist, they're already manufactured, they are available there. You basically build to order or assemble them based on an order. You don't have to go out and manufacture them first before you can actually do that. And there's other ones like engineer to order. So normally in the automotive industry or aerospace industry, then they will do that. So they get the requirements from the customer, and they start by engineering that requirement, getting the engineering side of it, and then manufacture that. And then there's also strategies like assemble to stock. It's basically you have everything in stock based on the trend. For an example, during Christmas time, we know there is basically marketing for things like toys and so on. So closer to Christmas time, you then go and stock up the toys so that you're able to sell all the ready to be assembled and sold. And the other one is being able to just get the contractors to be able to, you basically contract them out to assist in building the products or the sub-assemblies for those products. And as I said, the one that we will definitely be looking at now is in today's webinar, is the configure to order. So in our exercise, we would be having a drill that we're going to be working on here. And then the configurable modules that we will be using on this drill, it is basically the drill bit length. So you'd have different drill bits length available that you can pick from as your traces to be configured. And then the other one would be the grip handle type. So what type of grip handle you want to use. So you have those two options there, and then we'll then configure your product to be able to allow a person to configure based on those. So the way it works is you would create options or options for a particular configuration, and then that option is more like a question. So in our case, the question would be, what is the drill bit size or length? And then the choices here that you will then link to the option will then be different lengths for your drill bits. And of course, you can have multiple options. And then once you've created all these options, you can just put them in one option set to basically allow users to pick from all those options. And the next thing is with conditions and rules. So you can basically set conditions to capture how you'd want different options to sort of link together. So the one option you have or rule you have is the include rule that basically captures the association of your different choices. For an example, if you're looking at this include rule over here, so it basically says if under option 1 I choose the first choice there, and it will then automatically pick on under option 3 that choice over there, and under option 5 it will then choose that option there. So as soon as you pick that, it then forces it to automatically include those in your configuration. And the other one being the exclude rule, and that simply means if I choose option 1 here, it will automatically exclude option 9 for me. So if I choose option 1, I can only choose between these two. So it basically forces you to do that. And once you've created your configurations, this configuration can then be applied to your bill of material. So you'll basically create a variation specification. So based on what options you've selected, it then creates a variation specification. So at any time, I can go back to my configurable product and apply the variation specification as the configuration to it. And then the results for that would be the exact bill of material that would show there. So normally how you would set up your product, the configurable product, is to basically create an overloaded bill of material for that product. So your configurable product will have every component that goes with that product, and all the other different options and choices that you can pick from also loaded onto that bill of materials. They would normally call it a 150% bill of materials. Then after you have obviously gone through and configured it based on the customer requirements, then that would give you an exact 100% bill of materials out of that. So yeah, so the variant specification can always be applied to that overloaded BOM, and it will always give you the 100% bill of materials that you have configured. Okay, so at this stage, I'm gonna go in and show you this in Windchill and Creo. So I'll start off in Creo just to show you the module that we're working with. This is our overloaded bill of material that I've talked about. So if you look at this drill bit here, you actually notice there's couple of drill bit sizes on here. In fact, if I go and open this configuration, you'll notice that I've got different sizes of drill bits on there. And then this is called a configurable module. So it is a sub-component of a configurable product. So if I go back to my main structure here, so the highest level component on my structure, it is called a configurable product. And then the configurable modules here is what would have different traces that you'd pick from. So I've got another one for grip as well. So I've got one for a vertical grip and one for this horizontal grip on the side here. So if I open this one as well, you'll notice that there's two options that one can pick from on there. So one thing worth mentioning is, so from Creo itself, you are able to create a configurable product and module by just clicking on the new assembly, and you'll notice that in the assembly, you get a configurable module as well as a configurable product. But to be able to see those, you'll need a Creo Options modular license. So once you've got that, you'll be able to see those and be able to create them in Creo parameters. So this is our 150% bill of material with everything in it. I'm going to go and show you exactly this in Windchill. So this is Windchill interface. I'm going to go into my product, which is the 600 product. And then you will notice with the product structure that comes with the configurable product or module, it gives you a different icon. So if you move over that, it will tell you that this is a configurable module. And so if I go in to the structure of this, notice that it is our still our overlaid module, and then this is the obviously the product, and then this would be the configurable modules, and then if I expand them, those would have different choices under them. So it is a complete overloaded bill of materials. So now the next thing is to go and start creating our options and choices. So to do that, you have to do it at the product details page. So in the details page of my product, you have the tab for option pool, where you go and create your options. And then I've also added another one that's called an option set, as well as a table for assign option sets. So if you don't have those, you basically have to create a new tab, go to customize to the right here, and then under general, you can simply just check those two tables, and then it will load your tables in there. So those two tables in there. So this is my options on here. So as I said, we're working with a grill, a handle grip, as well as the drill bit length. So I've started creating this in here, but so far for the grip, I had only created one, so the 4-finger grip. So I need to go in and create an additional one as a choice. So before I can actually do that, I'm going to just quickly show you how you'd go about creating the options. So under design options tab, there's an option to create a new options here. Click on that there, and then you give it a name, specify whether it is required as part of the configurations, and also decide whether you want this to be the only selection. So out of the choices, you want them to be able to select only one choices out of the list, or you want them to select one or more. And you can of course give it a description of that as well. And then once we've created those options, so these are the options that we have, then I can then go into one of these and create a new choice. So I already have one there. I'm just gonna create a new one for my flat grip. So give it a name, flat grip. I can use the same for my description. So on the drill bit length, I've got 200 millimeters, I've got 300. I need to create another one for the 600 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So at this stage, I've created the options, and I've also created my my traces for each of those. The next thing I need to do is go in and create an option set. An option set is basically a container where I go and say, in this option set, I need to have the handle grip, or let people be able to select or configure the handle grip as well as the drill bit length. So I basically go in and add those to my option set so that they will be able to be selected as part of the configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and do that under the option set tab here, create a new option set, and then I'm just going to call it set of drill options. And there's a couple of settings that I can also do on here. I can decide if I want them to allow assignments of exclude choices, so be able to click on the exclude rules as well. Yeah, things like date effectivity. So if I've set up my configurations to conform to date effectivity, also allow that as part of my configuration. So I'm just going to leave all the settings as is, and then go ahead and create my set of option sets. And then in this option set of mine, I'll then go ahead and add the choices to it. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and select the 2 because I want them to be able to select on those, and then have all the choices available to them as well. So at this stage, I've done that. So just to check if I'm able to pick the choices that I've added from there, there is a preview that I can also quickly check. So click on that preview. It sort of gives me a table with the options. So if I click on this, I can see that I can select, I can select any of those options, and I can also select those. So I'm good for that. So it is set up properly. And the next thing that we need to go do now is go back and then make sure that we can link our option sets, we can link them to the actual CAD files, or the not CAD files, but the actual configuration files that we're going to be choosing from. So I'm just gonna add them in there. So there's only that one, and then I can also click on what state should these options be available for those CAD or parts. So at this stage, I'm gonna just leave it as blank so that I can assign them at any stage of the life cycle. So now we have set this up, we have made it available to be assigned to the actual product structure, the choices on the product structure for the parts. So I'm gonna go back to my product structure now, main one, and then I'll start with the drill bits. So what I'll do is just quickly open this up in its own window. So this is the drill bits. These are all the options that you have there. Now, the next thing is to go in and assign those options that we have created on the other side. Assign them and map them to each of these. Yeah, so that when we pick that option, that's actually pulled and then added as part of that configuration. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and just check my configurable module out. And then just from the items under the users table here, I just right click on one and then assign an expression. And then this is for bed, and then this is for 200. So I've not picked there and say this is for 200. Then you'll notice that expression is now assigned to this. So I'll go ahead and do that for the rest. This is for 300. And that's for 600. And once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and check this back into Windchill. And I'm going to go again back to the structure, the main structure. The other one we need to set is the handle grips. So this is the configurable module for that one. I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to do exactly the same for those two. So check it out and assign the options to it. So this is for a flat one. So pick the flat, and then the second one would be for the 4-finger grip. Assign that, and once that's done, I'll go ahead and check this one in as well. So now we are done with configuring our product. So at this stage, anyone, salesperson, or anyone who's got access to the system can go ahead and configure a product based on the customer requirements. And to do that, they will go back to this bit of materials here, or product configurable product here, actions, and then configure a product. And then on the configuration dialog, you go to the options filter here, and then I can now go in and select my options. So for a drill bit, I need a short one, and then for my handle, I'm going to have a flat grip handle, and then next. So at this stage, I can go in and look at what I've configured. So if I expand those configurable modules, here you would notice that at this stage I only have one option that we've selected, added in there. So this is basically your bill of materials, 100% bill of materials. And I'll just carry on here. So if there was any variation specification that has been created previously, it will populate in this table, and you can have it. You can either decide to reuse that. So go in and then reuse that as your bill of materials, or to print out or to export the bill of materials, or you can go ahead and just create a new one for this, because that could be a new customer. So I'm going to create that one and then just name it a bit different. So this is going to be a drill 200 for the drill bit length, and then just name it flat for the handle. And then finish. So this goes and create a variation specification for me, and I can see all the traces that I've selected as well on the list here. I can go in the structure here also and see my the visualization of what I've configured, and immediately you can see in the graphics window here that we have selected the flat one on there, and then we've also selected a 200 milliliter long drill bit on here. So it gives you visualization for that. And also, if you go to the details page here, I can also get a complete deliverable bill of materials that shows me exactly this. And then this is the drill bit that I've selected. And at least I'm just looking for the grip handle. Okay, it is there. The grip handle, the flat one that I've also selected. So from here, I can simply go and just export this bill of material as a multi-level, export it to any of these formats here, and share it with the customer or share it with other entities in the company to use. Okay, so that is that configuration that we've created. So if I go back to my complete structure here, the overlay structure, if I quickly want to filter the structure, so let's say I don't know where that configuration is stored, the configuration that we've just created now, I don't know where it's stored, but I know the name of it. I can simply go to my overloaded bill of material structure here, and then simply create a filter on this based on a variant specification. And then my variant specification will be listed in this table here, and I'll just go ahead and click OK. And you will notice that my overloaded structure basically gets filtered based on that configuration. So you can see on here it's that short drill bit we selected, and then the flat handle grips that we also have there. So it allows you to quickly just apply that on your structure to get your complete bill of material as well. So I'm gonna switch this back. So the scenario when it comes to rules could be that if we're selecting, or if the customer is ordering that long drill bit as part of this, the 600 millimeter drill bit, we can say for safety reasons, we don't want them to order the flat and grip, because that might slip while using it, because the drill is a bit heavier because of that long drill bit. And we want to force them to say, if you pick on the longer one, it will only pick the other 4-finger grip that you have. So to do that, you basically go back to your options, the option pools that we've created. And I can basically go and create and exclude rules. In my case, so I can create and include rule, but in this case, I'm going to go and create and exclude rules, or exclude rule to say, if I pick on the longer little bit, just make sure that you can't use the other deflect and grip. So to create the rule, I'll basically go in and say, so if I'm selecting the 600, just make sure, because it's an exclude, just make sure that I can select the flat grip. That's the rule that we create. And now, if I go back and try and create another configuration, another customer configuration. So if I go back to my thing here, then I'm just going to go ahead and configure a new product. But now, when I get to the drill bit side, I'm going to go and pick on the 600. And notice that as soon as I pick on the 600, automatically my handle grip is then switched to the flat. But if I were to go and select that, I still need to go and pick on those. And it also works vice versa. If I pick on the flat grip on this side, I can't really pick 600 milliliter on the side. So I only have those two options to pick from. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and select this one, the 600, and then we can carry on with the configurations. Give it a name. So 600 4-finger grip. Save that configurations. So if I go back to the structure here, you'll notice that okay, it is the longer drill bit, and then on here I also have the grips that I've set it to automatically pick when I pick that longer drill. Yeah, I think that's basically covers all I wanted to show in the demonstration here. And I tried to pick the simplest model and the simplest components of this model to just simply illustrate the power of this. And you obviously can create multiple components that you can pick from, multiple choices that you can pick from in there. So this can get very, very complex as well in terms of the overall structure on here. So that's basically that. We'll now go back to my presentation here. Now I want to bring up this slide just before I look at the questions here. So if you have any technical questions post the webinar today, you can email those directly to me at epoyen@pdsvision.us. Any sales queries, sales@pdsvision.us. You can also visit our website, pdsvision.com. And also, if you wish to rewatch this webinar, it should be up in our YouTube channel in a couple of days. YouTube channel called PDSVISION as well. So at this stage, I'm going to go in and have a look if there is any questions that were posed to us here. Okay, the question is, does the configurable module for Creo use interchange group for sub in components per configuration? Mike, I'm not sure on that one. So what I'll do is I'll ask our Clio guys to just give me an answer on that, and then we will reply to your email with that information. We'll definitely get you the answer on that. Okay, I see there's no additional questions on here. So if there's no other questions at this stage, I will go ahead and thank everyone for joining us today. And I really hope this was informative. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.